Hi everyone, I'm Maliha, a licensed mental health provider who loves sharing information about mental health. A lot has been changing for many of us right now. With COVID-19, what's happening with the stock market, and what we're hearing on the news about politics. And this time can be especially distressing for couples who are at home, quarantined, and stuck indoors the entire day. Many relationship experts are talking about how this time can bring about maybe baby season or even a storm of divorces. So today I invited a relationship expert and therapist, Jo Rapini, to help us navigate how to get through this time as a couple in some healthy ways. Thank you so much for joining us, Jo.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm really excited about it because I have a real need. I'm an advocate for couples and for marriage. I think it is fundamental and really healthy for families. And so this time, I keep telling the couples I'm counseling, listen, we're in this together. We're all going to give 100%. We're going to make it through, because the great thing is if we make it through this, and we will, then if you grew stronger, then this can turn out to be something you remember that, really to a deeper place, a more insightful one of your partner. And in the whole of, that's what's really important.
This time is, because it's so distressing and it's very new, none of us really know how to navigate this, and we're all in this together. If we're able to move through it, it can only build a more stronger connection between us.
That's right.
Yeah. So I actually had a few questions that were running through my mind. I feel like everyone has different reactions to kind of what's going on. Some people feel like, well, everyone's reacting. Other people may feel like, everyone's underreacting. Our partner may feel like, well, we need to stock up on all the essentials and we need to be 100% ready. We might even have differing opinions about kids spending this time focusing on education rather than using it for play. So how do we as a couple balance differing views to kind of like their reactions to what's going on?
Well, I think it really helps when couples sit down together and when they share their views about what's going on and what they need. I encourage all my couples to make a list of the essentials, what you feel you need. And rather than judge each other or say, we don't need that, that's ridiculous. If you get an idea and ask them, why do you think we need this? Because so many of us don't know how our partners were raised. And as we alluded to earlier, if you were raised in maybe a more chaotic family, or your family, one of the parents abandoned the other one, so you grew up always feeling like there wasn't enough, you grew up in a scarcity model, then things like this, where, they're telling that you have to stay home, you have to stay in, you can't go out, are going to make you panic, and you're going to hoard supplies. The more you get, the more you're going to feel safe, that, okay, at least I can survive. And some people may judge you as being selfish, because if you get all this stuff, then other people can't get it. But that's because they don't understand where you come from. Like, why is this so important? Why is this essential to your needs? When your partner understands it, they can you listen. You and I are creating a new relationship. We are in this together. And what's going to help us survive is if everyone survives. So we want to do what's going to sustain us, as well as leave some things for other people. Our whole culture is set up very individualistic. I take care of me and I take my people. But really, now COVID is forcing us to do what is in the best interest of others. Love thy neighbor. Stay home because we want to stay safe. Want others to be safe. It's a whole new concept that I think we're transitioning to.
Right. I think that's a great point that you brought up. We are learning how to live in a new normal. And a lot of us may not know where the other person's coming from. And even in my work with my clients, when we're working with families, we always encourage engaging in active listening. So asking your partner questions, this is what I'm hearing you say. Did I hear you correctly? And when we do that, it feels like the person feels heard, and it prevents a lot of miscommunication and misunderstandings. So I think you brought up a great point about, trying to dig deeper and figure out someone's motivation or reasoning for why they're behaving or thinking in a certain way.
You brought up a really great point. One of the things that couples notoriously tell me when they're at the end of their life, and many times I see clients, I work with cancer patients, and as they're dying, I'll say, we'll talk about things, and they want to tell me what they wish they would have done more of. And the art of listening is one of the things that frequently comes up. I wish I would have listened more. And so I try and reassure them and say, well, you have a great partner and you have great children. I'm sure you listened more than you think. And they say, no, I heard, I didn't listen. The art of listening is oftentimes taken for granted because we hear, but listening is really asking your partner, what did you hear me say? Can you tell me what you heard me say? And understanding that so that you can correct and go, oh my goodness, that wasn't what I meant to say. I'm sorry, that would have hurt you if you thought that were true. Because many times we just jump around. We go from one assumption to another instead of just putting a pause in there and listening.
Oftentimes we have a certain routine for how to manage chores or division of labor, and because we're working outside of the house, many times both partners in the couple are working outside of the house. And now that we're both at home and things are very different, what are some ways that couples can kind of navigate this part?
Well, I think one of the ways you could do it is, the book, The 5 Languages of Love, and what makes your partner feel loved. And on there, one of the things is tasks of service, gifts of service. And gifts of service are when you do all those little things that so much. Like you bring your partner home a cup of coffee, or, all the restaurants are trying to make it and you can order food and take it. And you bring your partner home their favorite dinner. That's loving your partner, and plus taking care of a meal, because meal prep is a transition for most couples. It's very difficult, and that time is stressful. And so if you've been a person that's been at work and maybe your wife has been the primary person that cooked the meal, you may want to take over with that a little bit. You may want to say, tonight I'm going to get something special for dinner, and help support the restaurants too. I think a lot of times now that you're all at home together, getting the kids involved. Kids need chores. They grow up better when they're accountable for doing some action that's going to benefit the family. So if maybe you have a big whiteboard and everybody writes what their chores are for the next day, it presents routine, which is very securing to a family. And it also gives everybody an opportunity to kind of pitch in, I think.
This is the time that our kids really remember, when we were put in a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. How did we respond as parents? And because kids are absorbing what we're doing all the time, and we are essentially models for them for how to deal with the stress and how to deal with when we're feeling down. So I think having that routine and giving them some healthy ways to have an outlet is a great idea. Many of us live with elderly family members or in-laws, and that's tricky to navigate on its own, but especially during a time when everyone's feeling on edge. So how can a family build more harmony in their life with that said?
Well, I think, when you have people in your home, it's extremely stressful. And, I do a sex therapy, and it's really hard on the sex lives of couples because feel badly or they feel embarrassed, or old things come back that, you know, they're reluctant to touch each other or hug each other.
Mhm.
I think on a personal level, it's imperative that you get alone time. And I would say for the couple also, I mean, you should find a time, you know, there's great dates you can take at night in your own back that will kind of help you resume your life as a couple. You might be able to just, you know, after the kids are in bed, you can run out and sit in your car and maybe share a sandwich or something and a drink and just talk and have your personal time wherever you go, whether it's a walk or whatever you find that you'd like to do.
There's this book by John Gottman called 8 Dates. It's one of the newest books. And I actually bought it so that me and my husband can start using that. I think it brings up a lot of great topics. So you practice learning more about your spouse or your significant other through that topic, and it gives you different ideas of how you can have those conversations that we usually don't really have.
Right. Instagram, I posted, I think there's 6 great dates you can do while you're observing the stay-at-home challenge, and they can be done in home or your backyard.
I'll link your Instagram in the description box for the YouTube videos. Now that we're spending all of our time at home, one person in the couple might feel like, well, it's a great time for us to spend more time together. I want more connection. And then the other partner is feeling like, well, no, I need more space. So how do we navigate differing needs within the same couple?
Boy, that's a really great question. What I'm doing and what I'm suggesting my clients do is that we do a date night, like 3 nights a week, especially now. We used to do it once a week, but we've made it more frequent because we feel like my husband's in medicine and I'm in therapy and I do media as well. So we're feeling more pulled by a lot of different people we're trying to take care of. So what we're doing is on 3 nights a week, we go out, the 3 of us, in our backyard or out for a walk or a picnic or something. And then the other nights we're reserving for ourselves, and that's our personal time. If we want to spend our personal time together, that's great. If we don't, well, we've been married for a long time, we know each other's style, because it doesn't always work out. You know, you can have a sick child and then there goes your date night or your time alone. So I think though, for me, and this may just be my own compulsiveness, I like having something I'm gonna do with my time. Like, I'm not a person normally that just wants to sit and reflect. I either have a book, like I'm going to make time for my book, I'm going to make time for my writing, I'm going to make time for my scripture reading and catching up. I'm going to make time for catching up on emails. Whatever it is, that's my time. And, you know, they're saying that a lot of times what will calm people are things like practicing meditation and yoga. And I notice there's many yoga and meditations online that you can do absolutely free now. No other time. It's expensive.
So having the balance between having time to yourself, doing self-care, and then also spending time with one another.
Once again, we go back to what you said earlier, just sitting and talking, being curious, and then listening what's going to work for your partner and how that feels, and could that work for you with a little adjustment. I think that's key. Like, if couples remember, we are creating, and now what you had created, you're recreating, because we're in a crazy time in life. So I think keeping your humor is very important.
How do we know as a couple that it's time for us to seek marital counseling or couples therapy?
I usually say, if you are arguing more and it is consistent over a 2 to 3 week pattern, then I would reach out to a therapist. And if it's about the same thing. Now, I caution couples during this time, because we are seeing a lot more. And a lot of it is because we've never really learned to deal with conflict, because we could always escape it. We could always get away from it. And it made it easier to maybe deny it, sweep it under the rug or whatever. But COVID is forcing us almost to confront it. And we're used to that. That scares us. And so many times what happens is we react with, we need help because we're afraid. We've never felt this way about our partner. We're seeing a different side of our partner. Mm-hmm. And if your partner did not want to go, I would suggest you go by yourself, because many times going by yourself can help you clear up some things that are going on with you and help you readjust and maybe take a different perspective. And that may be what the marriage needs at that time. If you need more, the therapist, let them guide you.
Well, thank you so much, Mary Jo, for shedding so much knowledge and benefit to all of us. I think it's what you discussed was very fruitful, and I hope it's going to be a benefit to many other people.
I hope so too.
That was a great conversation with relationship expert Mary Jo Rapini. I'll go ahead and I'll link all of her information in the description box below. Make sure to check it out because she has a lot of resources. If you or someone you know needs support during this challenging time, my colleagues and I at the Menninger Clinic are providing telehealth. I'll be sure to link my Instagram. You can use that to contact me to schedule this if you're interested. I'll also be sure to add some more resources. One of them is psychologytoday.com. You can go on there and search for a mental health provider and filter by whatever it is that you're needing, which makes it very convenient. So be sure to check the description box below for all this information. It is my goal to help spread awareness about mental health so that we can break the stigma, heal, and grow to live healthier lives. If you found this video to be helpful, make sure to share, like, and subscribe so you can benefit yourself and others. I'll see you in the next one.